The Patriots didn't just reload. Drake Maye is turning New England into the NFL's next nightmare.
I'm not saying 1 seed at all. I'm saying they're going to make the playoffs. Your Patriots, sir, are going to have a totally different world.
They also have a better roster.
Okay. Really?
Wow.
You like Dobbs as an upgrade over Diggs?
I do.
Okay. Good to know.
Man,
good to know. A guy who's never had 1,000 yards receiving against the guy who's got...
Talking about disrespect.
I'm not disrespecting.
The AFC champs. They literally were in the Super Bowl. I know everyone forgot because the game didn't go great, but wow.
But,
and teams generally go back to the Super Bowl.
No, I'm not saying...
Last time the Patriots lost a Super Bowl, you know what happened? Let me just check the notes real quick. They won it the next year.
And what year was this?
Who was the quarterback?
Who's the coach?
Who was the quarterback?
Tom Brady, Drake Maye, Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one guy should have an MVP if it wasn't for someone in this room.
Hold on a second. Yeah, okay. And that aged poorly. That aged really poorly, having Stafford be the MVP over Drake Maye.
Oh, sorry. We'll play it
real
blizzard
poorly
every game.
All right. So they're playing the Broncos again, the Packers, the Vikings, the Steelers, the Bears, the Lions, the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Seahawks, the Jaguars. That's who the Patriots are playing this year. You know what they didn't play last year? A lot of those teams. We'll see. I wish you nothing but the best. I want you happy. I want my wife happy. I want my my youngest son happy. I want some of my in-laws happy. No, seriously. I want all Patriots fans happy.
Yeah, just not when it comes to football.
No, I'm fine. I don't mind it.
Be happy
it's no skin off my nose.
It is.
I don't care
because
no,
they're
it's
in
not.
a division.
It's great. In the same way, I'm accused of being somebody apparently who makes people hate Michigan. You, sir, are at the front of the pack when you're talking about the Patriots.
So still cranking out the power rankings. This is the free agency edition, and here's where the AFC East teams lie in that very latest edition of power rankings. The Bills, top 3 here. The Patriots, even though they went to the Super Bowl, they're coming in at 8. And then we have the Jets, the Miami Dolphins, who are dead last. So I'm sorry, Miami fans, but it looks like it's a rebuild from the ground floor. And you're coming in at number 32 on Pete Briscoe's power rankings. So let's welcome back in the guys, Ryan Wilson, John Breach. Just a reminder for y'all, John, you're going to give out the grade. Ryan, you're going to give out the remaining needs for these teams. And we are starting with the Patriots. Coming off of that Super Bowl appearance, they get another weapon in the offseason for Drake Maye and Romeo Doubs. So what is the grade here for the New England Patriots, John?
Jacqueline, I gave the Patriots a B+. I think if anyone watched the Super Bowl, you realize New England really had to add at least 2 positions. You needed some offensive line help. You needed some pass rushing help. And they checked both of those boxes with Elijah Vera-Tucker. They went out and got Draymond Jones. And then, of course, they released Stephon Diggs. So now you also need some receiving help. And they filled that gap by adding Romeo Doubs. So I think the Patriots, they haven't made a lot of moves, but they've made some smart moves. They have a better roster now than they did last week. And then, of course, I love the signing of Kevin Byard at safety. That reunites him with Mike Vrabel. We saw they were together in Tennessee, but last year Byard was in Chicago. He led the NFL in interceptions. So this is kind of that quiet guy who can be in the back. You got that veteran leadership, that ball hawking safety that can really help a Mike Vrabel defense. So I really love what the Patriots did, and that's why I gave him a B+.
I like it, Breach, and you talked about all the positions of need they hit on. One remaining position at least, maybe 2. Wide receiver is going to be up there, but I went with right tackle specifically, and this is for 2 reasons. Number 1, Will Campbell is going to be the left tackle. Mike Vrabel let us know that, and for as much guff as he took in that Super Bowl because of the quote-unquote short arms, he was also hurt, and I think the fact that he's going to come back healthy will certainly change things. On the right side, Morgan Moses is still there, but he's older. His contract's going to be up after next season, and at pick 31, there are going to be some names that are going to be available. I'll throw one out. Maxie Inachor, the right tackle out of Arizona State, insanely athletic. He has long arms, so you don't have to worry about that. Hasn't played a ton of football, didn't start playing until junior college, but he is going to have a chance to be a first-round pick and be a special talent once the game catches up with him. Can sit for a year behind Morgan Moses and take over the job next season.
Oh my gosh, how many times are we going to talk about Will Campbell and his wingspan, his arm length, all the things? Oh my goodness, guys, I'm like getting flashbacks to when he was drafted and everything too. Let's go to the Bills. As mentioned, they come in at number 3 on Pete Prisco's free agency edition of Power Rankings. Also a team that needed more weapons for Josh Allen. They get DJ Moore. Bradley Chubb makes the trip from Miami to a lot colder destination in Buffalo. They get Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Just some of the things that they did in the offseason. Obviously, it's a new head coach as they try and make that case that the Super Bowl window is not closed with Josh Allen and Breach. The grade for Buffalo is a B.
It is a B, Jacqueline. And the reason it is a B is because a big part is the trade for DJ Moore. You mentioned they had to add some weapons for Josh Allen. And you rewind back to earlier this offseason when Bills owner Terry Pagula had that bizarre press conference with Brandon Beane, the general manager, where he essentially threw the coaching staff under the bus for drafting Keon Coleman. So if you're Brandon Beane listening to that, you're like, okay, he's absolving me from the Keon Coleman stuff. I better go out and get a receiver and kind of make up for this. And that's what they did by getting DJ Moore. So now Josh Allen has that number one target. And then to be able to steal Bradley Chubb, sign him in free agency away from a division rival, that's a huge signing because it makes the Dolphins worse. It makes the Bills better. And then that really is good enough for me. But then they went out and added a couple people in the secondary, D. Alford, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Defense needed a little bit of help. So I did like what the Bills did. They didn't fill every single need, but I thought they were good enough, so I gave them a B.
I'm going to keep the theme going with the wide receivers, Breach. You talked about the press conference where Brandon Beane looked like he was being held hostage. He did a lot of blinking trying to Morse code that he was in danger. We talked to Joe Brady at the Combine, and he could not talk up Keon Coleman enough. And if Keon Coleman even does bounce back to 85% of what we were expecting as a former first-round pick or top of the second-round pick, they still need help. DJ Moore is an upgrade for sure, but he certainly had his share of downs in Chicago. So if you're picking there at the bottom of the first round, I would target another receiver and just keep drafting these guys until you get it right. Casey Concepcion could potentially be there at Texas A&M. He has return ability in addition to slot and outside ability. And one name to keep an eye on who I think we're not really talking a lot about, but who has had a fantastic 2025, Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana. He's going to be bigger. He's not going to be quite as fast as KC, but he gets open consistently at all three levels, and he feels like a guy who would benefit from having someone like, say, Josh Allen throw him the football. So I'll go with wide receiver here for the Bills.
Okay, let's move it along and go with the Jets, where I don't know if I have enough time to break down all of the offseason moves or if we have enough space on the screen. I think our graphics team figured it out. But Gino going back to the Jets after bouncing around a little bit. They get Minka Fitzpatrick in a trade, re-signing Breece Hall, which is obviously huge. So, John, what do you make of all of these trades with the very tiny text to make it fit on our screen?
This is the last thing I thought I would say about free agency in the offseason, but I actually loved what the Jets have done. Obviously, the Geno Smith trade, I do feel like that's an upgrade at quarterback over Justin Fields, so you kind of have that veteran leadership. But more importantly, I love what they have done on defense. You look at the position on almost all those players that we just saw listed as key additions were defensive players. You have a defensive-minded coach in Aaron Glenn. You're finding players who fit his system, and now he can mold this defense into what he had in Detroit, into his bread and butter and what he does best. And getting Minka Fitzpatrick, I think that was a steal for the Jets. Adding T'Vondre Sweat, great up front. I mean, David Onyemata, there are just so many layers here. The Jets improved at all levels of their defense, and obviously the upgrade at quarterback helps, so I gave them a B+.
All right, let's get back to Colin Breach, Gino. Let's get back to calling him Eugene Cyril Smith III. And by that, but to do that, we need to get him some playmakers. And that 3-point font of all the players we saw in that graphic, no wide receivers listed. So I'm going back to the wide receiver well here. The Jets have picks 2 and 16. At pick 2, they'll probably go defense. At pick 16, you almost have to go wide receiver. I've talked about Mekhi Lemon before, and potentially he's an option. Other names to consider: Denzel Boston could be there. Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State. Big, strong, fast wide receivers with high point catchability. That would complement nicely what Garrett Wilson brings to the table. They do have A.D. Mitchell from a trade last year, but they got to get Eugene Cyril Smith III a few more weapons. They can do that at pick 16.
All right, finally, last but certainly not least, the Miami Dolphins, where Pete Prisco and I went to Dolphins training camp last year, and every single guy that we spoke to at training camp is no longer there. It is a lot of new. There's no Waddle, there's no Tyreek, there's no Tua, there's no Bradley Chubb. It is a complete overhaul. It is Malik Willis that is the quarterback there. It's Jeff Hafley's first year as head coach. But John, even with all of this, the grade is not as bad as I was anticipating.
So, Jacqueline, I thought the Dolphins were the hardest team to grade because, in my mind, new general manager John-Eric Sullivan basically bought a condemned house. And there's only so much you can do here. Instead of trying to dress it up, he said, we're just going to blow this thing up and we're going to start over. So what he's doing is getting rid of all the bad contracts. This team is going to have $180 million in dead cap space. That's the most in NFL history. You move on from Tua's contract. You move on from Jalen Waddle's contract. You move on from Tyreek Hill's contract. All of those left a substantial amount of dead cap space. This is just pulling the Band-Aid off. In 2026, you win out. You get a quarterback in Malik Willis who can be your bridge guy. If he plays well in 2026, that's a huge bonus. If he doesn't, well, guess what? It was a throwaway year anyway. You're hoping you can be good in 2027. So they haven't crushed free agency, but I like their overall strategy of building the foundation from the ground up and trying to start over in Miami.
That's a good analogy, Breach, because they're trying to build a mansion, and all they've done is just lay the cement for the foundation. They got a lot of work to do, but they're off to a good start. The foundation hasn't cracked yet, so hooray for that. The other thing is, if Jacqueline and or Pete want to talk to you at Dolphins training camp, I would run in the other direction as fast as possible because you're going to be out of a job shortly thereafter. So stay away from them if that happens. And finally, they have a ton of needs, as Breach has noted. After next season, they're going to have 10 defensive backs whose contracts are going to expire. So I'm going cornerback here. They pick 11. I'm not going to overcomplicate it. If LSU's Monster Delane is there, you take him, and that's another great building block for this foundation. You can also take Jermod McCoy out of Tennessee, and then circle back to the rest of your draft picks and try to continue to make this team better to help out Malik Willis once the season starts.
Ryan, I'm never going to get sent to another training camp ever again now that is out there in the universe. I hope not, because Pete always talks to Trevor Lawrence at Jags training camp. Ooh. So, I don't need anything messing with what's going on in Jacksonville, right? Okay, guys, hang tight. We have more grades to give out. But in the meantime, let's check in on the odds in the AFC East. Minus 145 for the Bills. The Patriots, I know you just went to a Super Bowl, but it's still plus money there. The Jets, a long shot, and the Dolphins, even longer.
Yo, mic check 1 to 2, -1, -2. Game over for this video, folks. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay in the huddle for more. This is NFL Madness, bringing the heat and signing out.